Without Remorse opens with a team of U.S. Navy SEALs tasked with freeing a CIA agent taken captive by the Syrian army. After successfully releasing the hostage, team leader John Kelly realizes they were not at the Syrian army headquarters but in Russia. They intend to leave right away after realizing their mistake. Unfortunately, as they descend, they are assaulted by an RPG launched by a group of soldiers. The attack creates a hole in the floor they are standing on, allowing the entire squad to tumble to the ground floor. Kelly quickly initiates a counterattack, but Robert, a CIA agent who took part in the mission, wants to spare the hostage. After slaughtering all of the opposing troops, Kelly, his surviving troops, Robert, and the hostages they spared flee to the helicopter waiting for them. Kelly expresses his rage because he believes Robert is setting him up to attack the Russian army base. Robert says that he was unaware of this and had no intention of catching them. 3 months later, Kelly has retired from the military and is now spending time with his family. His wife, Pam, is pregnant with their first child. Kelly pays a visit to a close friend's home and discusses his new job as a security guard. Meanwhile, one of Kelly's friends who went on a hostage rescue mission in Syria is shown spending time with his small family. Unfortunately, while leaving the house to take out the trash, he gets hit by a speeding automobile. His daughter screams uncontrollably as she witnesses his death in front of her eyes. Kelly's friends, who were on a secret assignment in Syria, are slain one by an unknown group. Kelly and his wife are preparing to sleep in their upstairs bedroom one night. Kelly, unable to sleep, decides to walk downstairs and grab a snack while listening to music. Suddenly, the electricity goes out in his house, and many others sneak into the bedroom. The visitors aim directly at Pam, who is deep asleep in her bed. Kelly goes to retrieve his revolver after hearing a ruckus upstairs. He sees a person's shadow and instantly shoots at it. Although he kills several people, he is severely injured. Fortunately, the person who planned to shoot Kelly runs out of ammo. He departs Kelly's place without making another attempt. Kelly is transported to the hospital the next day after suffering a major gunshot wound. Following the event, CIA officials and SEALs convene for an important meeting. Robert recalls the events surrounding Kelly's squad's release of the hostage during the conference. They eventually decide to investigate the situation. Kelly regains consciousness at the hospital. However, he is deeply saddened to find that his wife and the kid in her womb have perished horribly. When Kelly's former SEAL supervisor, Karen, pays him a visit, he begs her to tell him who attacked him. Karen assures him that the case is being investigated and that she has no idea who is behind the attack. A few days later, Karen is invited to a closed-door meeting with Robert and Secretary of Defense Thomas Clay in Washington, D.C. During the discussion, Robert informs them that Kelly's wife's killers are Russian soldiers from the FSB, or Federal Security Service, of the Russian Federation. They conducted this in response to the Kelly team's attack on the FSB headquarters in Aleppo, Syria. Worse, America will close the case because it does not want to generate problems with Russia. However, Karen feels unable to accept the choice. Time changes. Kelly is still undertaking training to improve his physical condition. One day, Karen informs him that the attackers were Russian soldiers, but the investigation has been closed. Karen, concerned about Kelly, provides him paperwork and photographs of Andrew, a passport manufacturer. He facilitated the Russian army's entry into America. Andrew very likely knows who is behind the attack. Kelly gets home that night from a training session and douses himself in wine. He then visits Andrew's office. Kelly confronts 2 of Andrew's bodyguards by pretending to be inebriated and walking unsteadily. Kelly instantly returned to his car after seeing Andrew get inside it. He follows Andrew and crashes his car, blocking Andrew's path. Andrew's vehicle gets wedged between a truck and a sedan, making it difficult for him to unlock the car door. Kelly later sets fire to Andrew's car before breaking through and going inside. He confronts Andrew with a gun, demanding that he reveal the identity of the person who attacked and killed his wife. Andrew refuses to tell him, but Kelly shoots him in the leg to compel him to open his lips. He eventually reveals one name, Viktor Rykov. The attack on Andrew exacerbates tensions between America and Russia. Political analysts even speculate that the incident may spark a new Cold War. Karen pays a visit to Kelly, who is in prison following Andrew's assault. Kelly promises Karen that he will kill the assassin regardless of where he is. Several prison authorities force Kelly back into his cell shortly after he returns. Kelly refuses to cooperate and fights them barehanded. Kelly kidnaps a prison officer, and the officers are unable to stop their onslaught. They leave the cell one by one. Clay then sends a messenger to Kelly, inviting her to join him. Kelly complies and is led to the office. When he arrives, he is asked to identify the row of images and the name he received from Andrew. After mentioning Viktor Rykov's name, Robert informs him that he is a former Spetsnaz officer. He became a Russian spy while in America and was a long-time target of the CIA, but they had difficulty apprehending him. According to CIA intelligence, Viktor is presently hiding in Murmansk, Russia. Knowing that his wife's murderer is still alive, Kelly promises to assist in catching Viktor. Despite his initial refusal, Clay accepts on the condition that Kelly return to prison after the task is complete. Kelly, Karen, and the CIA team prepare to board a plane. After a few hours, the aircraft enters Russian territory. Kelly is about to jump from the jet when it is unexpectedly assaulted by Russian warplanes. The attack causes the aircraft's wings to catch fire. The jet then slopes rapidly downward and crashes into the Barents Sea. The collision occurs when the plane and water enter the plane's cabin. Kelly and the rest of the group attempt to flee, and they eventually manage to live. They take a Zodiac boat and head straight for the Russian border. Arriving to a safe place, Kelly claims that the attack on their jet will benefit them now that the Russians believe they have all died. At the same time, Kelly gets suspicious of Robert, who did not accompany them. He believes Robert may have betrayed him by informing the Russians of their arrival. Kelly eventually reunites with Robert in Murmansk, where he is seen with some Russians. An enraged Kelly instantly confronts Robert, accusing him of treason for being a Russian informant. Robert disputes Kelly's charges, claiming that he was in Murmansk when the plane transporting Kelly was attacked. He believed the entire crew had died, so he arrived with 2 assassins to assassinate Viktor. He knew Viktor was at an apartment in the city. Kelly ultimately believes Robert after he repeatedly swears he is not a traitor. In the evening, Kelly, Karen, and the rest of the crew raid Viktor's hideout. However, when they arrive, Viktor is already waiting for them. Interestingly, Viktor is seen wearing a suicide vest. Viktor, sitting and gripping a bomb trigger, claims that Kelly and his troops are pawns created by America to go to war with Russia. Pawns like them will be sacrificed to fulfill the king's desires. Viktor hits the button once he finishes speaking. The explosive detonates instantly, devastating the room. Kelly promptly checks all of the members, who fortunately survive. However, a sniper opens fire on them, killing one of their guys. The shooter even kills 2 Russian police officers who are on patrol outside the building. Russia will very certainly charge Kelly and the others of killing the 2 police officers. The sniper continues to shoot at them, forcing them to hide in utter darkness in the remains of Viktor's flat. Kelly sneaks through a hole in the wall after discovering where the sniper is hiding. Finally, they take out the sniper. Unfortunately, outside the apartment building, Russian police and military have surrounded them. Kelly instructs his forces to flee out the back road as he confronts the police and Russian soldiers. Kelly begins throwing grenades at the parked automobiles as Karen and her group attempt to flee. Kelly's shootout with the Russian forces continues. Kelly tosses a bomb on the ground floor, killing a large number of Russian soldiers. Finally, Kelly escapes the Russian army's encirclement by dressing in a Russian army uniform and wearing a tear gas mask. He walks unsteadily, gets in a car, and flees to his team's destination. Kelly almost passes out while driving the next day as a result of his injuries. Fortunately, he arrives at the area where his team is assembled. Everyone, including Robert, leaves Russia immediately via ship. They examine Viktor's comments in the middle of the water, which state that they are all pawns to accomplish the king's request. Robert advises that Kelly fake his death so that he can investigate the mastermind behind all of these events. In Washington, Kelly kidnaps Clay in a restroom. Kelly then interrogates him, threatening to hunt out his family in retaliation for all of the incidents he witnessed. Clay ultimately explains why he put Kelly on the expedition. America aims to go to war with Russia in order to stimulate the economy and give itself a legitimate justification to conquer and be feared by the rest of the world. Clay is also attempting to rally the American people to defend their country against a common adversary, Russia. Kelly and his team are nothing but bait. All of these factors aggravate Kelly even more. He then sinks his automobile into the Potomac River, drowning Clay inside. A few days later, Clay is declared dead by suicide and buried in a military ceremony. Meanwhile, Kelly, who was declared dead while flying to Russia, is buried next to his wife's grave, avoiding a prison sentence. At the end of the film, Robert hands the president the voice recording Kelly made immediately before killing Clay. Kelly, on the other hand, will begin a new life outside of America under a new identity, thanks to Karen's assistance. The film's message is that someone who joins the military must be willing to make sacrifices for his country. Unfortunately, their sacrifices are sometimes in vain, since some abuse their position and influence for personal gain.